Hello Stampers and Crafters, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sarah McGuire from Sassy Paper Crafts. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today's project is this one. How cool is that? So I'm going to show you exactly how to do the border on this card using just one little die cut. So if you want to see how to make this project, please keep watching. So before we get started with our die cuts, I do want to do my stamping first because we're going to be die cutting out these elements here. But I'm going to show you again how cool is the border, the edge of this card. I just love it. So I'm going to show you how to make that in just a minute. I'm going to set this aside. Let's do our stamping first. I just have a piece of basic white here. And I have 3 ink colors, Pebbled Path, Garden Green, and Daffodil Delight. Let's start with the Pebbled Path, and we will be using the Cheerful Daisies stamp set. I'm going to be using these 2 stamps here. There's like an outline stamp and what I call a filler stamp. So I'm going to be using both of those. That middle part here, the leaf, and wishing you the brightest birthday. So let's do our outline stamp first. That's our inside stamp. Oops, I got a bunch of Post-its. So our outline stamp is this one. And we're going to do 3 of them. So I'm just going to ink it up, tap, tap, tap. 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to do our sentiment in Pebbled Path as well. So I got the sentiment here. And I want to give that enough room for the die cut to cut it out. That looks like it should do. So we're the middle of I keep trying to put Pebbled Path away, but we're not done yet. So I'm just going to do the middle of our flowers. And it's a little bit off because I'm not directly over it, but it's fine. And then I'm going to grab Garden Green and our leaf, and we're just going to do 3 of those. Whoops. 3 of those. That's it for Garden Green. And then Daffodil Delight, we're going to do the middle, and I really do not like that flower there, so I'm going to do another one. But to line these up, I just like to find this guy here because it's a little bit bigger, so it makes it easier for me anyways to see and line that up perfectly. So I look for this guy. To me it looks kind of like a little sideways B, and I just look for that, and then I can line these up. Again, I'm a crafter who puts my head right above everything. That's why that is so wonky, but that's okay because we're just going to do it one more time here on the back, right about there. Hopefully I can do this without getting into the other die cuts. Line that up. Where is it? Nope, there it is. Line it up. And then our middle again, and I will do better this time. Much better. So now we can put our inks away, and hopefully, like I said, I can kind of see through it. It looks like it'll be just fine. So for our die cuts, all we're going to use is we're using the Cheerful Daisies dies. So I'm going to use the flower here to die cut our flower, this label for our sentiment, and the leaf. This die is actually from the Stippled Roses dies, which we'll be carrying over into the new annual catalog, but I just liked how it kind of went with that. So that's what we're using. Also, we're going to do a little bit of embossing since I'm going to have the Stampin' Cut Emboss Machine out. So let me clean my stamps, put that away, and I'll get my machine out and I will show you exactly how to do all this. So I have my Stampin' Cut Emboss Machine here, and I did zoom out a little bit just to be able to show you everything. So this is the standard size one. We also have a mini. I recommend the standard size. That way you don't have to guess if embossing folders fit, if our bigger dies will fit. Everything that Stampin' Up! Sells fits into the standard machine. Now the machine does come with a platform. It has a number 1 on it. So we're going to do our embossing first. And everything is right on the platform for how to do things. So to die cut with thin dies, you use 2 cutting plates and this little shim that I'll show you in a minute. For standard embossing folders, you use 2 cutting plates and the platform. And we're using a 3D embossing folder. So we're just going to use the platform and the number 4 plate. So let me grab my piece of Pebbled Path. And I'm going to be using the Twisted Rope 3D embossing folder. This will be retiring on May 1st. So I'm just going to put it in here. I did a whole thing on embossing last week. So head over to my blog, sassypapercrafts.com, to see all that. The part where the logo is up. You always want to put it the seam side first. So I have my base, my embossing folder with my cardstock, and then we're just going to put the number 4 plate on, and then we're just running it through. And it goes right through. And that is embossed. So now let's do our die cutting. Get this stuff out of the way. So for die cutting, I need my platform, but I also need this number 2. And I accidentally, when I first got the machine, die cut on it. Don't die cut on this. It doesn't work. You put that down. Then you put your cutting plates. Now, if you do a lot of cutting, your plate is eventually going to look like mine. It's all scuffed up. There's lots of cuts in it. Don't worry. I do keep a plate that I don't cut on. It does have a crack in it though, but I don't cut on it just so I don't get impressions on my cardstock. So we're going to do these ones first. And then I have a little tip for getting the best cut. So if you want your dies to not move, we do not have a magnetic platform. I just have a couple of Post-its. Like these are the little flag kinds. And you can just line them up and then stick that down and they'll stay put. Or you can use bigger Post-its if you have those. I'm just going to use that. And this one, I'm okay if it moves a little. So we have our platform, our number 2 plate, our cutting plate, then our cardstock and our dies, and then the 3rd plate, or the other cutting plate on top. So I'm just going to run this through. And then you can take your Post-its off, and you can reuse them until they're not sticky anymore. I do. And then all of our pieces are cut out. So I'm going to cut out our other 2 flowers and our other 2 leaves, and then I'll show you how to do the border. So everything is die cut. Now we're ready to do that beautiful border. So I just have a regular garden green card base here. I'm going to open it up, push it down, and this is at the front of our card. This is the back. Either way, you can use whatever side. I'm going to make this side our front, and I'm just going to place this die. I have the stem here. I'm going to place that bottom stem facing inwards. So we're just going to go like that. Now you can go off a little bit, however you want to do it. And then I'm going to place our cutting plate on top. Now I just have the platform, the number 2 plate, a cutting plate, our cardstock and die, and then a cutting plate on top. Now the trick for the border is when you run it through, you don't want to go all the way like I was doing previously. You want to stop a little bit short. So this line here is my guide, and it basically everything that goes in there is going to get cut. So I'm just going to run it in a little bit. I'm going to do it twice just to really make sure it left an impression how I wanted. So let's lift this up and see if it went in far enough. And I think it did. So we're going to move this down, and we're going to do the same thing. And again, we're going to go in out and go one more. You don't want to go all the way through because if you cut through the whole thing, it's just going to pop this leaf right out. And you want it to be still stuck to that cardstock a little bit. And we're going to do this one more time. It's stuck to the cutting plate though. I didn't want it to be stuck. So I'm just going to do it like this. You don't want to get into those. See, I think that'll work because our stem is right there. So again, I'm going to place my cutting plate on top. And I'm not going all the way through. Let's remove that. And that looks good to me. We are going to be covering that part up, but I'm going to move my machine, put my dies away, and I'm going to show you how to get rid of that excess. So I'll be right back. So I've moved my machine. Everything's back where it's supposed to be. Now let's get to getting this border out. So most of this comes out just fine, but some of this we want to actually cut. Now be very careful not to cut the actual leaves here. And it just kind of pops out. And you can even rip it if you'd like. I prefer just taking my paper snips and cutting, but then you get this, and I just kind of toss that. Now, that third one, we could have maybe moved it a little. I'm still okay with how it looks. I think it's very pretty. I'm just popping this out. And the reason I say we could have moved it a little is because there's going to be a little bit more detail down here. Now see, this one we do have to cut. I'm just going to fold that in and cut it right there. And then fold that part in and cut right there. So how do we cover that up? Because that is not very pretty, especially where I ripped it. You know what? Let me take a bone folder and burnish that edge so that sits down. So that is not very pretty. So how do we cover it up? With Designer Series paper, of course. So I have some of the Fresh as a Daisy Designer Series paper, and this is cut at 3/4 of an inch by 5.5. And it's just going to sit right over top of this, so it hides it. But I'm going to cut this piece here, hold on. But I am going to use some liquid glue, cut around that leaf. And just get that piece out of there because I didn't like it. Okay, I'm going to use liquid glue, and the reason for that is because liquid glue gives you a little more time to move things around. So if you're not quite ready or it's a little bit wonky, you have a little more time to work with the liquid glue. Seal pretty much sticks down the second you stick it down. I'm just going to pop that, and I am going to be covering up some of the leaves, but that is okay. Just like that. I might have to cut that little piece there. I see a little piece poking out that I'm not a fan of. I'm just going to go in and kind of bend it back, trim it. And again, that's ugly. We don't want that. So I'm going to take another piece, measured exactly the same, 3¼ by 5.5. I'm going to run the liquid glue along the back of that and just line up that edge. And see what I mean? It gives you a little wiggle room because I had it kind of wonky there. Make sure it's not showing on the other side. You're basically kind of making a sandwich. And there is our border. So now this one isn't quite as full as the other one. I kind of went out a little bit, but I just wanted you to get the idea. So while we're at it, let's put in our inside piece. Now this is going to show unless you cut it a little bit smaller, but I kind of liked the white peeking out. Like I thought it made the leaves pop more. So if you don't like that, you could cut maybe an inch off of your white cardstock, but I really like how that looked. So now we can take our panel that we embossed, Oops, get a little glue. That's all right. Put some glue on that. And just stick it there. Oops. See, and that's why I like the liquid glue. Gives you a second. Now we can take our leaves and put them on our flowers. And if you're wondering about how to get any of the supplies I'm using today, they are all listed in the description of this video, or you can head to my blog, sassypapercrafts.com. There's a link for this specific project right in the description of this video. And it'll take you right to this project. So I'm taking my leaves here and I'm popping them on some glue dots. And then I'm just peeling that off. Now what I did was, if you notice too, these flowers have like an up. Like to me, that is up. If you turn it, it kind of looks funny. So that is up to me. You can do it however you want, but to me there is a up and a down for these flowers. And so I'm going to do 2 of them with the leaf on that side, and then the other one is going to have a leaf over here. And we're just going to flip those over, and our sentiment, and put some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back, just to give it a little bit of lift and to pop everything up. And I like to lay out everything before I peel stuff off. That one's gonna go like that, so you want that up a little. And it's just how, whatever you think looks the best. I like how that looks. Oh, and just a quick note, your designer series paper, your space between your paper and your embossed piece is going to be different depending on how far in you go with your leaf die cut. So I went in farther, so I don't have as much room here. On this one, clearly I didn't go in as far, so I have more room. So there is really no exact how much should be there. It's just however far you go in with your die. And then to finish our card, I'm going to use some of these glossy dots. Now these have Gorgeous Grape, Melon Mambo, Daffodil Delight, and Pool Party. I'm out of Melon Mambo. I've used them so much. Woo! And the Take Your Pick tool. I'm just going to pop 3 of these kind of randomly around. And that is our card. So I hope you enjoyed this card today. Again, all the projects or all the products I used are listed in the description of this video. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more card making and craft videos from me. I want to thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time.